Alright, hey guys, what's up? It's Tangerine321 from DeviantArt. I don't know what possessed me to do some commentary over this process video, or what made me think that I was gonna do like record the entire thing, you know? Because usually I cut out the boring stuff like doing the line art and doing the flats and the outline and stuff like that. So yeah, it's just like, I don't know, I guess I went just crazy that one weekend. But anyway, I'm doing it, so this is actually the second time I'm recording, because the camera that I'm using to record my voice, because the internal microphone on my laptop is horrible. It's right next to the fan, so you'd be hearing like a fan going like whir, 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 whir. So yeah, that's why I'm doing it this way. The battery's actually died in that camera, so it only recorded me for like 5 minutes, and so then I'm just redoing the entire thing. So yeah, so most of the time I find in process videos the sketching part, all the rough work is the most interesting part. And that's where most of my drawings probably die, because after I'm done with the rough, then like I'll put down some color just to see how it looks, and be like, it looks alright. And then, you know, I'll be like, alright, and I'll forget about it and I won't work on it anymore. And then whenever I come back and I look at it, I'm like, I don't really feel like doing it. So that's been the state of my art for the last, like, I don't know, like half a year or something. I don't know if you could tell from my gallery. Everything is just so lazy. You know, I don't do like proper line art and stuff. Everything's just all sketchy and just flat colors and stuff like that, no shading. So yeah. As you saw, all I do usually is that, you know, I draw like a skeleton, and then I draw some like boxes around it, you know, to like as guidelines, you know, to like figure out what I need to, how long things should be, how wide things should be. And then finally, I create a new layer, and then I start, you know, drawing over it, you know, fleshing all of the details out, you know, putting details in like muscle and eyes and ears and hair and stuff like that. So yeah. Oh yeah, and then you see that ear right there? It's a pretty lazy ear, but it's better than, you can take a look in my gallery and you can see that the ears that I used to do, super lazy. There's absolutely nothing in them. So I'm actually doing ears that way because I posted up some of my art for, you know, people to critique on this one forum. I think it was Sakura Hana, something like that. And somebody left me a message. Somebody left a comment that said like, you draw like super detailed like clothes and stuff, but your faces, they're so boring and undetailed. And usually like for critiques, like I kind of understand, like it's not unexpected or something like that. They're like, oh yeah, you need to work on your anatomy, your hands are pretty bad, or like, oh, you should do more shading, or, you know, there's something wrong here, something there. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not really good at that. But this time it came like quite unexpected, so I've been trying to work on like ears and shading the face and stuff, but it's kind of hard. I don't know. It's like you have a habit, and then like the way that I like faces to look, you know, is kind of like plain, I guess. I don't know. But yeah. So just changing my habit, I guess. I couldn't do it. But I'm still working on it, you know. No artist is perfect, so you gotta keep on working at what you love to do. So practice makes perfect. Yeah, and then I usually draw bodies like, you know, the figures like naked, and then I draw the clothes over them. Otherwise, like, I'll get all mixed up about like the proportions of the body and stuff like that, and how the clothes should hang off. So yeah, and then here's the line art, pretty boring stuff, you know, just tracing over, nothing fancy. I'm not too sure why I did it in black this time. I usually do it in something like a really dark red or something, you know. And unless if you're working in black and white, never ever make your line art black, because it's such a simple thing to do, just to lock the opacity on your line art layer, and you know, make it a different color. You know, like what usually I find works best is like a really dark red, but you could use like a really dark blue or dark purple. I think I ended up going with dark purple on this one. I'm not too sure. But yeah, it just makes I don't know, it just adds something. It just brings the picture together, I think. And also, guys, vary your line width. Don't be like me and just, have all the same line width. I'm actually about to go back, I think, and fix the like all the wrinkles on her upper body, on the upper part of her dress, because I think that they're a little bit too thick. Yeah, so that's another thing that somebody told me, is that I need to work on my line weight. Just something I'm trying to do. Oh, I wanted to talk a little bit about proportions, because I talked about that in my last recording, which got lost. But yeah, I don't know how far you guys are along in like your artistic career or what your skill level is, but most people start out with like drawing the head first, drawing really nice anime style eyes, drawing really, kawaii faces and stuff like that, and that's great, there's no right or wrong way to start. But the problem with that approach is that you start working from the face and then you work down. So then as you're working down, then your sense of proportions is like kind of screwed up. I don't know what it is about that, but if you look at like a lot of beginner artists, like whenever they draw like a full body, their bodies will become like triangular shaped. They'll have like massive shoulders and like no hips whatsoever. This is okay if you're drawing like an American style like superhero, a male superhero, like a really tough guy, but for like women especially, it can still work in manga, have a triangular shaped body, then you have to remember that women kind of have an hourglass shape, because not all women have that, but some have more hips and some have more shoulders. But in general, you should, as a general rule, you should make the hips as wide as the shoulders, because that's just like the ideal body proportion, or something close to that. Anyway, so if you draw a straight line from your shoulders down to the hips, then the shoulders should meet up with the hips. They should be the exact same width, okay? And another tip is that if you color in a similar color to something else, like you see this beige and then the skin tone are kind of similar, so it's kind of hard to see where you painted over and where you haven't painted, then you just lock the opacity on that layer and color it something else that stands out, like green, like here. And then it's also helpful to like make the background like a really dark color, so then you can see where like any like little holes, like little places where you haven't colored are. So yeah, I'm gonna post up the Photoshop file for this, by the way, with all the layers. Usually I have like 2 or 3 Photoshop files, like one of the background, one of the figure, and then I'll have a third one where I bring the two together and then put in some typography, and finish it up. But for you guys, I'm just going to make one really big Photoshop file with all the layers in it, so then you can poke around and see how I did things. This, but by the way, was not done in Photoshop. This is done in Sai, if you can't tell. Because, I don't know, I used to be a Photoshop, draw in Photoshop, and be a Photoshop user, because that's what I learned in high school. Not how to draw. There wasn't any computer drawing class in high school, but how to use Photoshop. And then I just discovered, I started hearing about Sai and how great it was. So I started to use Sai, and at first I didn't like it, so I uninstalled it. But then I gave it a try like a couple months later, and it's actually really good. It's a lot better than Photoshop, I think. The pressure sensitivity for the pen is a little bit better. I don't know if I have to like fix something in Photoshop to get it to work right, but yeah. So it honestly doesn't matter what program you're drawing in, as long as you know how to use it. If you just want one program, it's probably best to go with Photoshop, because Photoshop is like so big. You can do so much stuff in Photoshop. It's just ridiculous. I don't know. So right now I'm shading. What tips can I give about shading? For colors, it's a good idea to sample other people's work. and use their colors until you get a really good sense of like color theory and what colors, how dark something should be or how light and what skin tones are. It just comes like naturally, like after a while, and you'll be able to select colors and just go on the fly. So yeah, and then I'm using like a two-tone shading, mostly because I don't know if you guys have seen this, but in my gallery there's a deviation called the Usual, and it has like Akira and Alicia, and it's like a versus fighting game type screen, and I used two-tone shading there, just because I tried to be like 16-bit, and I thought it fit the style. So yeah, usually just one thing will like change my style up a little bit. Like the way I drew eyes is like totally different now after I drew the Ruined for Marriage comic, which is also in my gallery. So you guys can read that too if you want, I guess. But yeah, I'm not actually doing it too much here. I actually reverted a little bit. We're almost out of time, so I wanted to talk about the background really quick. The background I didn't record because I was having a ton of problems with the composition, so it's just a horrible mess to edit, and I didn't really feel like doing that. So, but it's really a lot of just block colors and stuff, so it's not too bad to figure out. It's really straightforward. If you just look in the Photoshop file that's going to be with the deviation, you should be able to figure it out. And remember that journal where I asked you guys to ask me some questions to fill up some time? Well, I guess I didn't need them, but it was just me rambling on and on, so next time ask me some questions, so then it's not boring for you guys. So that's it. Tell me if you like this, if you don't like it, if you just want music again or you want more commentary, me talking for some reason. Alright, see you next time, guys.